Thanks for being here. This is Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. Smash the like, do that thing. Doink. And super chat to help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue. Support the show by being a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/Hal Sparks. I mean, come on. Cup of coffee a month, maybe, or two, maybe at the level of cup of coffee a week. Help the show out and make sure we continue to exist. And by we, I mean poor little me. And so that I can keep paying the two people who actually can afford to pay on the show, which would be lovely, while I spend the rest of it on gear and agua. So anyways, check my graphics, check your graphics. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, did I have the morning one on? That's because I'm like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Turn that off and then turn this on. I haven't had a chance to build a dual setup, morning show, afternoon show, so I have to remember to flip all the switches. Sorry. Yes, that's right, CSL. It's exactly. You and Johnny. That's it. That's all of us. That's the we here. So, yeah. And Chip. That's true. I have to make sure that I have enough cat food in the house so that Chip doesn't feel like he's dying if I go 10 minutes over on the show. Too late. Okay, let's get into this. Lots of stuff to cover today. Now, the big news, lab leak conspiracy. If you said the COVID came from a lab leak back in the day in the dizzy, you could be kicked off of Twitter, and if you even dared to ask a question about the lab leak conspiracy, then you would be kicked off Twitter. And now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hal, no one ever got kicked off of any social media platform for asking questions about the possibility of a lab leak. The people that got kicked off were the people who asserted that they knew it was a lab leak and that it was on purpose. I know. Those are wholly different things, and I would agree. But that seems to be lost on the puffed out cokeheads among us. I don't know if this looks like, I don't know, carbs and crying. What causes this kind of facial puffiness? I'm not familiar with with drugs and liquor and or their combinations anywhere. So it's I couldn't do a medical assessment. I would just check myself straight into a morgue. See, like this business, I don't know what this, maybe he just had a facial. You know what? I'm going to go with that. Maybe he had a job to do. He got a little sunburn and then he went and had a facial and it puffs you up a little bit afterwards. Don't ask me how I know that. I'm just saying the key to keeping your youth as a man is do all the things the ladies do except makeup. That'll do it. Do everything just in general, fellas. I'm telling you. Do everything the ladies do except makeup. If you want to do makeup, knock yourself out. But they know what they're talking about. They're moisturizing. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Not Botox. No. Not all this. You're right. Not all this stuff. I would say that's not strictly a female thing. If you look at like Eric Bowling and some of those folks, a lot of people, Botox is an equal opportunity offender. As a comedian, it makes no sense to me. As a comedian using Botox, or even as an actor or comedian doing Botox, seemed to me to be a gymnast using paralytics in their joints. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah. You think this is renal failure? I don't know. I'll leave it to you. But let's find out. Here's guys. Oh, wow, guys. The conspiracy theorists were right again. COVID came from a lab. ! Now, before we begin, knowing, I have not pre-watched this, but knowing where this guy thinks he got his information from, do you think the phrase low confidence will come up other than if he just happens to sort of break into his sexual prowess with Kimberly? I doubt it. Let's find out. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, and then there's an ad. Mustang parts from Lisa.
Yo, Pops. What's up, buddy? What are we doing?
Oh, my God. You got parts.
Who could have seen it coming, folks?
Guys, beginning of my video, guys. Who could have seen it that he would start?
Who could have seen it coming, folks? Who could have seen it coming? The Energy Department.
The Energy Department. The Department of Energy, not the CDC, not the National Institute for Health, not the World Health Organization, not the CDC of any other country. The Department of Energy. Please continue.
Of the United States just concluded that the COVID pandemic most likely arose from a lab leak.
Okay, he's drunk. This is what is this? Gin, bourbon, mixing the two. I don't know what the combinations or the bad combinations are. You guys will have to fill me in. But as far as I recall from high school, people jibber jabbering, it was beer before wine, doing just fine. Wine before beer, nothing to fear. Was that how it was? Either way, they always seem, yeah, he looks really wiped out. I don't know what this is. Again, Energy Department.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
I'm shocked that my dad was president, and all the time he was president, he never came. All right.
This is according to classified intelligence reports.
Classified intelligence reports. Classified. No. By the way, Don Jr., just so you know, is not informing us all of classified material that we do not have access to. He is not, this isn't something he discovered rifling through files in his dad's desk while looking for blow money.
Okay?
Okay.
Literally anyone with a brain has been saying this for 3 years, and it wasn't even close. It was always the most plausible answer.
I gotta say, this is amazing. I seriously, is this heat stroke? Heat stroke and gin. I'm going with heat stroke and gin.
Right, but that didn't work for the leftist media globalist narratives.
It didn't. It just didn't work for their narrative. So the leftist globalist media apparently waited until someone besides your dad was president to go, yeah, most likely it was that, but we don't have a lot of confidence because we can't really tell, but that's what we think.
So they canceled anyone who suggested the obvious.
No, they did not. No, they can't, and they didn't even cancel him. Some people got kicked off of Twitter for asserting that they knew in a bigoted way that China attacked us with a weapon on purpose,
okay?
With no information.
It was always the biggest thing. Remember the headlines? It
was always the biggest thing.
Anthony Fauci just crushed Donald Trump's theory on the origins of the COVID vaccine. Remember the press release? Remember?
Yes, the press release. Which one?
The press conferences where Trump was saying, yeah, this happened. Of course.
Is that what he was saying? Is that what, hold on. I just need to check. It's okay. Let's see. Let's see.
Are there words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control.
We think we have it very well under control. We pretty much shut it down.
A lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat. We're in very good shape. I think it's going to work out fine.
Very well under control in our country.
I think that's a problem that's going to go away. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. I mean, view this the same as the flu.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
We are working on cures, and we're getting some very good results.
We only have 15 people, and they're getting better.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. And this is their new hoax.
If you're healthy, probably go through a process and you'll be fine.
You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona?
No.
Some of them go to work, but they get better.
It'll go away. We're doing very well, and we've done a fantastic job.
It will go away. Just stay calm.
We have seen dramatically fewer cases of the virus in the United States than are now present in Europe. It's going to go away. 1.4
By the way, in case you didn't see that, that was in March of 2020.
million tests on board next week, and 5 million within a month. I doubt we'll need anywhere near that. It's something that we have tremendous control of, and I think we're going to win faster than people think, I hope. Parts of our country are very lightly affected. You're going to lose a number of people to the flu, but you're going to lose more people by putting a country into a massive recession or depression. They have to go back to work. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. 2.2 million deaths. If we could hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000, it's a horrible number. We all together have done a very good job. It will go away. You know it is going away.
We think the death will be at a very low number.
It's going to go away, hopefully at the end of the month, and if not, it hopefully will be soon after that.
Words about a pandemic.
That was the whole, yes, just the, yeah, it was, finally someone was, telling us the truth.
Of course, Trump was right again.
He was right again. It went away when the sun fell on it, and it was all you needed was a light bulb up your ass and to guzzle some bleach, and all you needed was some fucking horse dewormer in your pee hole.
Okay.
Right again, and also...
Yeah. And so were the conspiracy theorists who seem to be batting 1,000 to me.
Yeah, but that's because you're a moron and a lunatic and high as a fucking kite.
Remember?
By the way, is high and drunk same thing? It's always been a linguistic fight. I always associated being high specifically with pot. The association being that's the line. Somebody's getting high there. I mean, you could be high on dope, and the idea that people are high on crack, that never seemed, people do on crack, but high I wouldn't associate. But some people would associate the phrase high with drunk, and I always thought that was odd. I don't agree with that. I think, not that you're getting low, just saying.
So Anthony Fauci, who was presumably funding gain of function research at the
Presumed by who?
Wuhan lab.
He was until the Obama administration stopped him, and then he was, I guess, again, or other people were. He wasn't directly involved, but after your dad restarted it a year into his presidency.
Seemingly lied to Congress about it. Now both the FBI and the Department of Energy have come to the conclusion that the coronavirus originated from the Wuhan lab.
From a Wuhan lab.
Yeah, like as a leak, by the way. And this is where they're getting it from. Can we jump into this? Because we're going to see a couple of these things. Okay. Washington. New intelligence has prompted the Energy Department, which is a very curious organization, to announce something along these lines. That an accidental laboratory leak in China most likely caused the coronavirus pandemic. Though U.S. spy agencies remain divided over the origins of the virus, American officials said on Sunday. The conclusion was a change from the department's earlier position that it was undecided on how the virus emerged. Some officials briefed on the intelligence said it was relatively weak and that the Energy Department's conclusion was made with, quote, low confidence. Kind of like the feeling that Junior gets every time he has to pee or step out of the shower in front of a mirror, suggesting its level of certainty was not high. While the department shared the information with other agencies, none of them changed their conclusions. So the Department of Energy stumbled on some new intelligence that gave them low confidence about the lab leak theory. They shared that intelligence, and the other intelligence agencies went, yeah, we saw that. That's not conclusive. We can't. Yeah, low confidence. I'd call it low confidence. Officials would not disclose what the intelligence was, but many of the Energy Department's insights come from its network of national laboratories, some of which conduct biological research, rather than more traditional forms of intelligence like spy networks or communications intercepts. Intelligence officials believe the scrutiny of the pandemic's beginnings could be important to improving global response to future health crises, though they caution that finding an answer about the source of the virus may be difficult or even impossible, given Chinese opposition to further research. Which, by the way, is the Chinese attacks on people their own doctors trying to inform the world that it was coming is reason enough to believe that it originated there. The question is, did it show? And again, it isn't so much the idea that it came from a lab or that it leaked from a lab. that is the big deal. That's not surprising or a shocking part of the accusation at all. As a matter of fact, my personal belief, having been in China a bunch, is that the low level of security at the Wuhan lab and the how underpaid so many people who work in a very highly dangerous and classified circumstance would lead them to try to make money on the side. There's a shit ton of that there. It's everywhere. It's rampant. And there's a big wet market where a lot of the animals that they bring up to test at the Wuhan lab and at other labs like it, they'll test these animals from different areas of the country to see if there's a chance of, a virus jumping from animal to human. And in a sterile environment, you should be able to check and then dispose of the animals in a way that it won't pass. But very strong chance somebody in that lab went, why are we throwing out these animals? They're good eating, and took them to the market and sold them. And they themselves carried it, or the animals were sold in an open market and it spread because people were there. Like, as far as the infection point where it grew from, both of those make total sense. It's not a nefarious thing. It's more about lazy security, which is, by the way, why the United States was paying money to make sure the Wuhan lab was secured. When Donald Trump took over, he allowed them to continue gain-of-function research, as we've seen from that Australian documentary, but cut the security funding. Let me say that again. Donald Trump allowed gain-of-function research to resume at the Wuhan lab, at the Wuhan Institute, and cut the security funding that we, both ourselves and through the WHO, were paying to make sure that the Wuhan lab was safe and secure. Can you see how that might lead to this? Right. Okay. So, again, low confidence, Department of Energy, they shared that with other intelligence groups, and they were like, yeah, that doesn't change our mind at all. It's not definitive enough where it's going to shift shit. It just isn't.
Does anything happen to these people?
To the people at the Department of Energy, or the people at the Wuhan lab, or the people who were like, I know what you're saying with the lab leak thing. We have no way of knowing specifically whether it was a natural adjunct because somebody took the animals and sold them, or bought a same batch of animals at the same time, were illegally poached, sold at that wet market because they're transporting there. So the dude that's the other aspect of this. It's a possibility, very strong possibility for anybody who's been to China, is that somebody gathers animals from a wild area that, where they're checking for disease, much like this, bats in particular, brings some of them up, gives some of them to the lab, some of them they sell at the wet market. There's either a crisscross of the inspection or what have you. The animals in the lab had it, or the animals there had it, or both, or neither, or whatever. So that, in general, again, is the kind of stuff that they were talking about at the time and going, yeah, that we don't, and certainly that it wasn't made there through gain of function, which I think is largely what everybody was pushing back on, or that it was an intentional infection by the Chinese, which is a whole other thing.
They lied to you. They pitched.
They did not lie. Again, lying would be, we discovered a cable that says, haha, we the Chinese leaked this, and we were able to keep it a deep, dark secret. And the CIA and everybody else and the DNI and all that saw it and went, oh shit, look, they admit to it and it's real. That would be, and then you find out that they hadn't seen it up to that point, but Fauci, it was one of Fauci's emails. We've seen Fauci's emails. No such thing exists. It's just dumb.
The narrative. Trump was right again.
He was right again. I'm fucking, guys. I'm fucking hammered right now.
The media, right? Remember, CNN Politics. Anthony Fauci just crushed Donald Trump's theory on the origins of COVID.
Let's see. Is there a CNN? Let's look at that. Let's see. CNN. Fauci. Whoops. Crushes Trump origin of COVID. That's this one. For weeks now. Yeah. This is the one he's referring to. This is Chris Cillizza's thing. Anthony Fauci just crushed Donald Trump's theory on the origins of the coronavirus. For weeks now, Trump has been making the case that the coronavirus originated not in nature, but a lab in China. He said late last week that he had a high degree of confidence that that was what happened, although he didn't specify why he felt that way. And on Sunday night in Fox Town Hall, he offered cryptically, something happened. Enter Fauci, the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, where in an interview with National Geographic posted on Monday, Fauci was definitive about the origins of the virus, which has sickened more than 1 million people. If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, the scientific evidence is very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. Now, this is the key part of this. And this is why the whole conversation was wonky for a couple of years, was because of the idea that if it came from the lab, it was made in the lab or augmented or shifted in the lab. And therefore, because it leaked from a lab, it's because the lab created it. Instead of the lab had these animals, they had a naturally occurring virus in them, and then it got out from there. That's the distinguishment. This headline is more about Chris Cillizza being dumb than about the actual conversation. Everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that this virus evolved in nature and then jumped species. Now, before we play this, he said, remember this, only one of these two people is a world-renowned infectious disease expert, and it's not Donald Trump. In short, Fauci's view on the origins of the disease matters a whole lot more than Trump's opinion about where it comes from, especially because outside of Trump and his immediate inner circle, most people in position are very, very skeptical blah, 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 the origin of the virus came out of a lab. And again, this is a distinction with a huge difference. And by the way, here goes. Whether accidentally or on purpose. And again, this is also part of the conversation that everyone was having. And part of the fight between the people who are pushing back against the lab leak idea or the people who are proponents of the lab leak is because of the underlying, what those mean to different people. Because leaking from a lab means created in the lab to most people, whereas leaking from the animals they had at the lab, because everybody, basically people think of it as like 28 days later. Remember the apes in 28 days later that were infected with rage, and that's what spread because they took healthy animals and they turned them into monsters in this, and that's how that lab leak happened because environmentalists or animal activists broke them out. It's a similar. People are talking at cross purposes. This is the same problem I have when dumb people make smart people movies. The Writing in Limitless, I will always source. So this is the thing. Like the intelligence community, which in a statement, official officer at DNI said the intelligence community has also concurs with the wide scientific consensus that COVID-19 virus was not man-made or genetically modified. Now, that's important to the distinction. Because what these guys mean and what Trump meant is they were making this into a highly potent bioweapon, and it snuck out before it was done cooking. 12 Monkeys, another great example. Right. Andromeda Strain. All the fiction where people oversimplify what this would require. So,
guys, and it leaked from a lab. My dad said so, and then he said it was no big deal, and it would blow away, and the sun would get rid of it, even though it leaked from a lab, even though... Right.
I mean, they literally all went to bat for this clown. It was always obvious. Everyone knew.
I don't know, dude, get some sleep. Is there a rule he has to crank these out before he can take a nap? You're not allowed to nap until and sleep off whatever the fuck this is until you've done this stupid video. Why is he upset? I don't know. I'll tell you why. It's stupid. It's amazingly stupid. Because again, his father was president when this shit all went down. So the idea that they lied to you and they manipulated and they controlled you. His father was president of the United States and was apparently aware and right the whole time and still locked down the country, thought it was nothing, blew it off, and then thought it could restart things again and then kept doing his trade deal with China and then sold them all of our pork, beef, corn, and soybeans while Americans were in food lines in June and July of 2020.
Remember this Fox News clip?
And my question is, have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves because they're like the public relations agency for China. And this country pays them almost $500 million a year.
And all we have to show for it is all the other pandemics that didn't take off and wreck the entire global economy and kill millions of people while sensible people were president of the United States, some of which I disagreed with politically, but clearly at least took this part seriously instead of going, it's nothing, it'll go away, stand down, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by, CDC, sit down.
China pays them $38 million a year, and
they get way more money on their return.
Whether it's a lot or more, it doesn't matter. It's still, they shouldn't be making excuses when people make horrible mistakes, especially mistakes that are causing hundreds of thousands of people around the world to die.
Oh, of course Trump was right again.
Okay. At that point, the whole purpose of that conversation was him ultimately blaming China for the damage done. Let's see. Meanwhile, Trump was not relying. Let's see. Let me hold on one second. Let me make it more specific in what I'm asking for. Let's see.
We've been in very close contact with China, including myself with President Xi. He very much wanted this to happen. He wanted this to get out and finished and be done. He's been working very, very hard, I can tell you that. And they're making a lot of progress in China. You probably saw Starbucks are now opened again. You probably saw that, as I mentioned, Tim just came out and he said Apple is back to normal in terms of production and their facilities in China. They've made a lot of progress.
Yeah, by the way, that's a clip airing on Xinhua News on the state media of China. They played that shit on a loop. How about this one? Hold on. Let's just grab a couple of these.
President Xi is working very hard. As you know, I spoke with him recently. He's working really hard.
By the way, reminder. Hold on. Let's share. Let me run this back by you again. What does this asshole say about the WHO?
Because they're like
this virus.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves because they're like the public relations agency for China.
Yeah? Are they now?
Xi is working very hard. As you know, I spoke with him recently. He's working really hard. It's a tough problem. I think he's going to do. Look, I've seen them build hospitals in a short period of time. I really believe he wants to get that done, and he wants to get it done fast. Yes, I think he's doing it very professionally. We're also working with him and helping him as of the last few days, as you know.
Some people don't seem to trust the data coming out of China. Are you worried about that?
Look, I know this. President Xi loves the people of China. He loves his country. And he's doing a very good job with a very, very tough situation.
Okay. Did you hear at any point, this is so aggravating. Did you hear any point where he said, I've been talking to the World Health Organization and they assure me that China is handling this and that Xi is doing the right thing. The people of the world, he didn't even do a diversion where he was like, saying that, I don't trust Xi and China's numbers. I'm listening to the WHO. And if they tell me that it's all right, I trust them. No. This asshole bypassed what the World Health Organization was saying entirely. The entire beginning of COVID, pre-lockdown and all this shit. And then as soon as the shit hit the fan, and it ended up being worse than he was saying it was for fucking months, what happens? Does he take responsibility? Does he say, it's my fault? I believed Xi Jinping. I spoke to him personally, and he assured me of these things, and I was led astray, and it won't happen again. And did he take responsibility? No. He diverted to the World Health Organization, an organization that he himself did not rely on for his decision-making. He didn't even rely. He's not even saying in that situation, in any of those situations, Dr. Fauci clearly told me that Xi Jinping and the Chinese are doing everything right. He specifically said, I talked to Xi. Xi loves his country, and he's going to take care of this, and I believe them. So, I mean, it's fucking goofy.
Obvious answer. Okay?
I'm so miserable, Puffy.
But you're never going to hear that because it didn't benefit the leftists. Does
the leftists.
anyone pay for this? Okay?
You mean your dad? I mean, he was fish stinks from the head. Your dad was fucking president. Your dad was the one who told us that Xi Jinping was doing everything right. It wasn't the World Health Organization. Right?
Anyone get in trouble for lying?
No, your dad is not going to owe the country $20 trillion, which he doesn't have.
Lying this way? People like Anthony Fauci profited probably from this for years.
Probably. Yes, that's why he got a government job. He profited from a disease that came along right at his retirement. That's what he did. He was going to retire on the money that he made creating a deadly virus. This is the gamble. Let's think through the logic on this, because this is fucking amazing. So Anthony Fauci, who's nearing 80 years old and has been fighting infectious disease his entire life and was on the forefront of fighting AIDS and all these things, has presumably a family with offspring. And so his gambit is he's going to make a shit ton of money helping shepherd a contagious disease across the entire fucking globe, where not just like laser pointing it on an area, but letting it just drift across the globe that could kill him or any member of his family before there's a vaccine for it. Like he didn't go, oh, by the way, look who's aha, there was no point. I'm Anthony Fauci, I would like to say that here's the antidote to the giant snake venom I just released on the earth. So the idea from this fuckhead that we're supposed to buy into is that Anthony Fauci participated in a global pandemic, the creation and function of a bioweapon on purpose, or was so inept in all of his decades, and then decided to hide his ineptness rather than answer to it and save everyone's life, because I guess he could have in this theory as well. And he's just going to let it roll through the world and possibly kill family members, friends, whoever, because he can make a little extra scratch that he's going to spend in his 80s. This again goes to the whole, Joe Biden is owned by China or what have you, and he would sacrifice Hunter as his bag man. Remember that shit? So the idea is that Joe Biden has been accumulating all this wealth that he has not spent so far, so that he can spend it in his prime when he retires at 84.
They were protecting their Chinese overlords.
Were they?
And the result was harm to American people, our businesses, our economies, our lives, our children, their education, their health, their well-being.
Okay. This is how lost and garbage-headed he is. If you'll notice, his argument there was not about the cost was a disease that rippled across the world that killed millions and continues to kill and will for a long time, and we had to respond to it so heavily. But the idea that because they hid that it came from a lab, this is his premise. The theory that they hid that it came from a lab internally, they were doing this so that they could participate in shutting down the whole country on purpose, so that they could open it again because it was really harmless and it was never going to be a problem in the first place. But they also wanted to, I guess, trick people into getting a vaccine that would kill them eventually, because they want to depopulate the earth, but they can only do that through an injectable serum rather than, I suppose, a super virus they create themselves, which would seem to be I mean, if you're going to be efficient, follow me on this. If you're going to do evil right, it would seem to follow on this. Create a virus that you have the antidote to, a venom that you have the antidote to, or a virus that you have the cure for. Only give it to your friends or select people, and then just let the rest of humanity be wiped out. That would seem to be, Occam's razor would say that would be the plan. But Occam's rubber mallet from these dipshits is that the idea is that the big evil, whoever, big pharma, big tech, big media, and big Illuminati all got together and decided, let's see, bombs, no. Poisoning rivers and streams, no. Cancer clusters, no. All these things that have provably wiped out large groups of people. No, how about this? How about we individually murder everyone? We have to get a needle in their arm, the equivalent of stabbing 8 billion people to death, because that's efficiency.
And what's going to happen?
Your dad is going to live through the fact that, and your family will carry forever that your father was president when this shit all went down.
Probably nothing.
Well, that's only because everything you bitch about involves a spattering of reality that contradicts what you're talking about, and therefore you're screaming into the wind.
Okay? Remember this, folks. The people in the media are evil.
Just write that down. Yeah, the people in the media are evil. The people. Camera guys, whoever's holding the cue cards, when the guy who spins the teleprompter, who sits there, turns the little dial or puts his foot on the pedal, whatever, the guy who mics them, evil. The person who cleans the desk, the janitorial service at MSNBC, devil in polite and evil. Yeah.
The bureaucrats are evil.
The bureaucrats are evil, meaning the people who do the normal functions of government.
Hate your guts, and
the bureaucrats hate your guts. That's why they show up at work every day and make sure that planes don't crash at the FAA. They do it because they hate your guts, and you don't want to visit your family, and they make you because those goddamn planes are on time most of the time.
All they want is power and money.
Well, how do you get a lot of power and money if everybody's dead? It is a flaw, I see, in the whole system. Don't you think?
Don't ever forget it.
Don't forget it. Don't. High degree. It's That was the end of it. Don't ever forget it. Now I got to go soak my face in ice water because Jesus. I mean, there's the puffiness right around here. That's concerning. I'm gonna go. It's got to be booze and sun damage. It's got to be. We'll settle on it. Don't forget it. You're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. They post it. I just go through it.